What's up, gamers? Hope y'all are having an absolutely fantastic day today. I know I am. So I know I said I'm gonna take about a month break. I think I'm pretty good. I'm like, I feel like a normal fucking guy again, man. I feel like I'm doing pretty good. So, you know, I'm back. I'm ready to get back on that grind set. Turn that mindset into a fucking grind set, bitch. Yeah, so I saw a fucking Latina Parfait respond to this video, and this video is really bad. Literally, the whole argument in this video, guys, spoiler alert, is that, you know, if it's optional, it doesn't matter, dude. Don't care about, like, anything, man. Like, if it's optional, who fucking cares? Honestly, dude. Like, it doesn't matter if it's optional. Like, obviously. Like, is that not fucking obvious, dude? Like, holy shit, man. Like, what the fuck? But yeah, guys, this video is fucking terrible. Absolute garbage. Let's go ahead and play that shit. You gotta love long intros. Like, when I say long intros, I don't mean like talking intros. I mean like an intro cinematic. In the year of our Lord, 2025, dude. I fucking love that shit, man.
Alright, today's video is probably going to make some people angry, but quite frankly, I really don't care because in my view, Assassin's Creed Shadows is getting a ridiculous and excessive amount of hate from the gaming community, a lot of which it just doesn't actually deserve. Now,
Alright, what do you guys think he's talking about here? You know, maybe some really bad shit. Like, you know, maybe how there's a black man in fucking feudal Japan, you know. Maybe how there's non-binary gay, there's like literally fucking gay lovers you can have in this game and fucking the feudal era of Japan. You know, maybe that's what he's talking about, you know, maybe that's the problems. You know, what do you think he's talking about that's unvalid criticism? Let's fucking see, guys, let's see. I'm on fucking meth, dude, holy shit.
Just to get something straight from the very beginning, there certainly are a multitude of things to criticize about the game, some of which I'll discuss soon. But for some reason, I have suspicions about what those reasons are, but for right now, that's less important. For some reason, this game is now a lightning rod for what feels like the most absurd, vitriolic, and asinine critique that I've seen from the video game community in years, with a certain cohort of creators and their dedicated fans grasping at every single straw that they can find in order to reinforce the narrative that this game is a colossal failure.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Are you sure about that, buddy? Because I'm sure if it was, you know, not a colossal failure, right? They wouldn't have sold fucking their biggest IPs to fucking Tencent, to the fucking China Slop, Chicom, fucking slop companies like fucking Tencent. Ubisoft does not fucking own Far Cry. They do not own Assassin's Creed, even, I don't think. Yeah, they don't even fucking own Assassin's Creed. Like, are you kidding me, man? Like, holy shit, guys. If it wasn't a massive failure, why would they have sold it? I wonder.
Anyway, Assassin's Creed Shadows has finally released, and believe it or not, I'm about to defend the game, to a degree. Here's the format. I'm going to start by giving an example of valid criticism, and then I'm going to complement that example by showcasing something which is, in my opinion, invalid. I'll go back and forth a little bit, a few times at least. By the end of it, hopefully, I'll have made my case that while there are certainly good reasons to refuse supporting the game, or Ubisoft for that matter, generally speaking, this extremely vocal and seemingly growing subset of the gaming community, primarily the anti-woke content creator sphere and their followers, have completely lost the plot, as they now scream about things which hold zero merit, simply because they are incapable of self-reflection, intellectual honesty, or admitting that none of this ever had anything to do with real principles. This was about clicks. It was about ad revenue in particular, in much the same way that crowd has now gone totally silent on the subject of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which was a massive financial success and Game of the Year contender as well. They'll probably go...
Yeah, like every single talking point that could be given about fucking Kingdom Come Deliverance fucking 2, it's been done before. It's already been fucking like played out. There's nothing else to say about it. You know what I mean? Like, that'd be like saying, dude, why are you still not talking about Spider-Mid 2 a fucking year after release? Oh, why? you're really silent because, you know, got Game of the Year fucking nominations or whatever the fuck. Like, no, that's not what it's about. It's about the fact that, you know, it's been played out. The drama's done. Nobody fucking cares about KCDC 2. It did well financially. Nobody's fucking denying that. If you're trying to deny that, you're fucking retarded. It does very well financially, and it might for very well get fucking Game of the Year. I don't care. Like, I don't know, man. As well as, dude, silent about fucking Assassin's Creed. Yeah, because eventually a new fucking shit-ass woke fucking slop fest of a game will come out that, you know, the anti-woke guys that we gotta fucking cover, you know what I mean? Like, South of Midnight 2 just released, which I'm not fucking covering that because that game's fucking faggot slop, but I think you get what my point is, right? Like, yes, drama comes and goes, dude. That's like saying, dude, why is nobody talking about that Dark Viper drama, which I, you know, covered in a very shit video, by the way, guys. That video is fucking terrible. Don't watch that. Or if you do want to watch it to, like, laugh at how fucking shit my script was, dude. I hate scripting videos. That's why I'll never do it again, man. I fucking hate videos that are scripted. They're faggot shit, and I hate them. Kill yourself. Disavow, of course, YouTube.
Silent about Shadows sometime soon, because it simply isn't the failure that they claim. And thus, the most important part of all of this, it can't be used as a bludgeon against whatever target they pick next time. Let's get to it. First example of what is, in my opinion, extremely valid criticism. Yasuke, the joint main character, protagonist of the game, absolutely sucks. Ubisoft, more so than probably any other entry in the Assassin's Creed franchise, tiptoed a lot closer this time to the idea of historical accuracy, choosing, for the first time ever, I think, to make an actual historical figure playable. Just one problem, and I have an extremely detailed other video about all of this, which I'll link down below. Just one problem, which is that Yasuke appears to be a sort of highly exaggerated fan fiction construct from the mind of a single individual historian named Thomas Lockley. The specifics are difficult here, but the gist of it, without making the video 45 minutes long, is that Thomas Lockley spent a tremendous amount of time and effort single-handedly propping up a sort of legendary samurai status for Yasuke, which doesn't really exist, we don't think. As a result, combined with the fact that Ubisoft has been more vocal about historical accuracy this time than pretty much ever before, the community began rightly criticizing the inclusion of Yasuke, especially under these suspect parameters, which I believe is the seed from which this overwhelmingly negative discourse originated. See, to me, that's valid criticism, especially for people who actually understood the specifics pre-release. However, that was then and this is now, which are decidedly different situations because now the game has actually been released. It turns out you can basically just not play as Yasuke.
Ignoring the fact that that's not even true, because there are several fucking open world missions where you have to play as Yasuke, as, you know, Griffin Gaming would fucking call him. Like, dude, even so, alright, so let's use an example. He says, I'm going to use this example several times. Let's say, for example, you know, if you can have, in a medieval fantasy game, you can have, you know, like, let's say you're playing as Prophet Muhammad. No fucking hate towards Muslims or whatever the fuck, but let's say you're playing as Prophet Muhammad, right? What if, for example, you can marry a 2-year-old girl, and you can have, you know, you can, I guess, have intercourse with this 2-year-old girl. Disgusting, by the fucking way. But let's say this could happen, but it's optional. Does that make it okay? Like, no, it does not. Like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? You know, don't care about anything. It's optional, man. Like, holy shit, dude. Like, and even fucking so, dude, it's not even true. Like, you do have to play as Yasuke in a ton of the fucking open world activities. It's like, yeah, switch to Yasuke or switch to Nawe. And he also mentions something else, which we'll get into in a little bit.
Joint main character feature that Ubisoft has now further emphasized compared to previous entries in the series lets you swap in and out pretty much at will, which makes it so that instead of using the wildly out of place, historically disputed, bumbling, clunky, Hulk-esque brawler, which feels
whoa, dude, are you saying that all black people are fucking Hulk? They just Hulk out on the whiteys or some shit, dude? Are you saying that, you know, all these, like, all of the black people, all they do is they just fucking Hulk out? They're not smart? They're just fucking brawlers? Dude, are you fucking racist, you piece of fucking shit, dude? Fucking kill yourself!
Completely asinine in the world of Assassin's Creed. You can just play as Nawi, Nawi is the other playable main character, the shinobi. She's quick, agile, solid voice acting, decent animations. Some of them are really good, actually. Some of the cutscenes and animations are great, and then other times they stand out in a weird way. But overall, I'm pleasantly surprised. And if you took this game, right, this is the important part. If you took this game, literally just deleted Yasuke, just deleted him completely, and then relaunched it afterward, I don't think there would be even a fraction of the hate that it's currently getting. But see, that's an issue, because why on earth, in a post-release environment where we now understand the distinctly different playstyles of these two characters, with the added impact of not really being required to play very much as whichever one you dislike, why are we still clinging to the fact that Yasuke sucks in order to say the game is a total failure? I agree wholeheartedly that Yasuke is garbage. He can barely climb walls, he doesn't even have eagle vision, navigating the world with him is a chore, and watching him run through solid wood castle doors is just a complete joke. It's somebody's power fiction fantasy type thing, and it's just decidedly stupid, okay? Especially because he doesn't even have a silent assassination in Assassin's fucking Creed. But guess what? Nobody has to play as him. For anyone who likes the idea of a playable character that has less utility, less movement, and basically hulks out in the middle of feudal Japan in a way that makes literally no sense whatsoever, go right ahead, okay? All power to you. But as with pretty much everything else in this game, it is optional. Back when the game was still on the horizon, when we didn't know what it would eventually look like, criticizing it over the impending debacle of Yasuke feels kind of doable or defensible. Some people certainly went overboard to that effect, and it's very clear to me now that there were some racist undertones to the argument for a few people. But before...
Oh no, dude, people are being racist. You know, I'm not really one to throw stones in my glass house about being racist. But dude, why do you fucking care? Why do you care?
we knew what the game really was, concern over Yasuke's implementation in that world felt much more understandable. However, now that we see what Ubisoft has actually made, why are people so angry over the existence of choices? This is an RPG. You can
Dude, no the fuck it is not. Dude, Assassin's Creed is not an RPG, you fucking faggot. Stop fucking lying. You're coping.
like Yasuke and then not play him. In fact, for anyone who was concerned over Yasuke subtracting from the traditional Assassin's Creed atmosphere, which he does, why is the outrage still there? Just play as the actual assassin. Kind of case closed, right? I find it...
All right, buddy, so let's think about this a little bit. If it doesn't matter if it's optional, because it's still a thing, you know that, right? It's still something that exists, you know what I mean? It's still fucking something that happened. Like I said with my example of fucking Prophet Muhammad. Is it okay that you can have sex with a fucking 4-year-old in that game? No! Even if it's optional, even if it's completely optional, it does not matter. Because guess what? Dude, it does not matter if it's fucking optional. I'm actually fucking crashing out right now. It doesn't matter if it's optional because it's still a thing.
It's exceedingly strange now, and I don't know when precisely the shift happened. Sometime recently, but I couldn't put my finger on when. But people now appear to be viscerally angry that a choice they don't like even exists in the first place. I can understand that outrage when the player is forced to do something, but when did we switch over from don't force me to play as something I don't want to, in a franchise where I have certain expectations, to don't you dare even create something I don't like, even if I never have to engage with it hardly at all? Why?
I'm not going to, use my Prophet Muhammad example because it's just beating a fucking dead horse at this point. But still, dude, like, I don't know. I don't fucking know, dude. Absolutely fucking brain dead.
Why is that happening? In my view, and this is purely just personal opinion, criticism or outrage over Yasuke has rapidly become invalid now. Perhaps on the subject of historical accuracy based on prior statements for a small subset of the player base, it might still matter, but Assassin's Creed is intrinsically fictional. Time travel, aliens, I won't go down the road of animus lore here, but historical accuracy in any real sense of the word is kind of a non-starter.
Why was this game marketed so heavily on historical accuracy? Let's say if they said, hey, we're making a fictional character named Yasuke or whatever. That's a black fucking samurai, and he's sick. He's pretty cool. Or not Yasuke, like named Tyrone or some gay shit like that. Like, I would not have cared. Guess what? You know why? You know why, buddy? Because then they wouldn't have been like, oh yeah, guess what? It's a real person. It's a real fucking samurai, dude. Hell yeah, dude. Like, I wouldn't have fucking cared.
Seem very concerned about how Yasuke can romance certain other characters or how there's a non-binary interaction of some kind. And I would agree with people if any of that was ever forced on the player. But
Dude, stop. Like, this argument is retarded. It's fucking retarded. There's no reason that it, like, there's no fucking reason why there should have been a fucking non-binary character in fucking feudal Japan. You're acting as if this is like a modern day Japanese samurai or some shit. No, this is literally in fucking feudal Japan. Like,
Ubisoft put in an entire separate mode of the game called canon mode. You can select an experience that removes those choices entirely from the main menu before you even start the overall experience, which leaves me baffled, honestly, because people are still genuinely outraged over the existence of characters and choices that they never even have to basically see. Feel free to chime in down below in the comment section if you want to, but how does that really make sense? I could talk about this for quite some time. For anyone who's not aware of this, I used to criticize games often for shoehorned diversity and political narratives like 7 or 8 years ago. And now watching this new age of anti-woke content creator basically parrot watered down or much less articulated talking points well and truly after the tide seems to have shifted feels kind of weird. At the same time, that was 7 or 8 years ago, so maybe I just grew up. Anyway, criticism of Yasuke in some respects is understandable, and certainly was understandable. But now, post-release, it feels a little bit more hollow, and in my opinion, kind of invalid. What's next? Next is cultural respect, which is a tricky one, because I'm not Japanese. Having recently been there for a few weeks, thankfully I'm also not the type of person who assumes to know everything about a place that I merely visited and barely scratched the surface of. Despite having recently been there, I'm just flatly not qualified to speak on this, but I'll try to keep it confined within the portions that I do know and somewhat understand. Having talked about Yasuke, including some of the choices that can be made with him, which pertain to real historical figures, some of them, if those are what people find to be offensive, I would once again like to mention canon mode, which is purpose-built to remove all of that from your experience entirely. But
it does not fucking matter at all. It doesn't matter, okay? Like, even if literally you had to fucking pay $7,000 to fucking access the content, but if it was in the like original game, not like a DLC or something, but it's like a pay gate to get through, but it's actually in the files, you're still paying for it initially. It doesn't matter. It's still a thing. It's still in the game. Dude, don't care about anything. Have no principles at all. That's the strategy that we need to all be employing, just like our bestie here, fucking upper echelon gamers.
Beyond that, there's a lot of blunders that Ubisoft has made. At one point, they were using incorrect samurai clan symbols. They used material that they didn't own the copyright for, which was a pretty big blunder. They had a one-legged torii gate on a figurine of Yasuke, which is closely tied to an iconic shrine in Nagasaki. And more recently, the topic of shrines came into question itself after a clip went viral on social media of Yasuke destroying one of them in-game. This is where it gets tricky. Ubisoft has very obviously made blunders here, but let's focus on the shrine angle more specifically, because that one seems to be the most high profile, even attracting a response from the Japanese Prime Minister. For starters, Yasuke is a joke of a character. He literally runs through things, destroying them in a way that makes him totally abhorrent to me in a game about stealth and assassination. But with that out of the way, right, just being super clear on it, a large portion of the in-game world itself is a destructible environment. There was no mission to destroy that shrine. It was simply the product of someone choosing to do so, and immediately following the backlash over all of this, Ubisoft announced a day one patch that would make certain portions of the game world non-destroyable. Certain NPCs and specific sections of buildings will no longer be part of the overall destructible environment, but let's take a minute here and just be honest with ourselves, okay? Is this really some sort of insane cultural disrespect on the part of Ubisoft? Think about it. They made a fully populated game world, and then small items in that game world are destructible as just a basic framework. That's it. Because of that blanket development technique for the entire world, you could, not forced to, or ever even incentivized to, by the way, you optionally could, if you went and found it in order to do so, you could destroy the objects inside a shrine. And when confronted over this, which they were, with a statement from the Prime Minister about disrespect, there was a day one patch to solve it. Does that really sound like big bad Ubisoft is intentionally disrespecting culture? Because
Just to be clear, guys, I don't really give a fuck about this, okay? Like, this is virtue signaling gay shit. I don't care about any of this, okay? This is not what I have a problem with, all right? So, just to be clear, I don't really give a fuck.
Related to criticism. There's a group of content creators, I'm not going to mention them by name, their audiences are exceedingly irritating lately, but there's a group of creators who are repeatedly claiming that Assassin's Creed Shadows is a financial failure. Disregard the fact that the game has 3 million players already so far, and it's the best.
Notice how it says players, not fucking sales, because there's Ubisoft Plus. There's Ubisoft Plus, which a lot of people are probably playing this shit on. They would just say, yeah, we have 3 million sales, or 2.5 million sales, if they just got the sales. But no, they said fucking players to dishonestly frame it. Well, they're not dishonestly framing it, but to trick fucking dent-headed retards like you, dude.
Launch ever for a game in the entire franchise, second only to Valhalla, which came out at the apex of the COVID-19 video game industry boom, which is a black swan event. But anyway, disregard all of that, because apparently the Steam charts don't have a super high player count number. And apparently the fact that they're saying 3 million players and not 3 million sales is evidence that the game is a failure, and thus Ubisoft is a failure. Here's the thing, if you make 30 videos in 6 months just repeatedly condemning the game with half of them identical headlines and as much vitriol as you can possibly insert into those videos, and you're saying it's the next big failure in video games over and over and over, if those videos get millions upon millions of views, thus earning tens of thousands of dollars, and if criticizing that game is the single largest bump in revenue, traction, and subscriber growth that you've ever seen on your channel, what happens when you're wrong?
In this situation, absolutely fucking nothing, because guess what? He's not, like, nobody's wrong about the failure of this game. Why would fucking Ubisoft sell shit to fucking Tencent if it was not a fucking massive failure? Why? They needed this to be like a fucking breakout success. Basically, I mean, I've seen Synthetic Man fucking mention this. Basically, this game was their fire extinguisher. Their break in case of needing money. And like break in case of break the glass in case of emergency game, because everybody was waiting for Assassin's Creed in Japan. But guess what? This is not what they wanted, because they wanted a game where it's just an actual Assassin's Creed game without fucking Yasuke, the fucking BBC man in there, dude, because that shit is fucking retarded.
Short answer, if you're wrong, you're just not wrong. You can't be wrong. When you're part of the current generation anti-woke phalanx, if you will, you cannot ever admit that you were wrong. It helps that they're all standing shoulder to shoulder with each other, making money every single step of the way. But when a game like Shadows comes out, and it's plenty successful, you have to just pretend it's not. Thankfully, Ubisoft is a very easy target for them. Ubisoft is on a downward trend, they've lost player support, they've lost shareholder support in particular, and most recently they had to secure a special subsidiary deal with Tencent, infusing over $1 billion at 25% equity, I believe, for their major franchises, spinning them off into a different company, just to stay operational. This is what's called a Pyrrhic victory for them, because it's certainly a victory, resulting in the company continuing on with significant runway, while avoiding the prospect of losing control or being subjected to some sort of hostile takeover. But it's a victory that comes at a time, and with such a cost, it's not exactly a moment for celebration. However, the argument that I see plastered everywhere right now is that Assassin's Creed Shadows was the final nail in Ubisoft's coffin. They needed this game to be a success, this was their last hope, and it failed. But with every ounce of sincerity that I can muster here, anyone who's saying that is kind of a fucking moron. Fixating on the
Describe yourself in 3 seconds or less.
is kind of a fucking moron. The fact that Ubisoft is saying 3 million players instead of sales figures even when those sales figures are likely well in excess of 2 million copies already, because the game is primarily console-based and thus Steam charts is probably the dumbest way to try and measure its success. Fixating on the discrepancy between players and sales, those two words, is a losing perspective, because like we just said in the valid portion of criticism, Ubisoft builds out their games to maximize recurrent user microtransaction spending. Assassin's Creed Shadows is no different. 3 million players means 3 million people in the game world being subjected to their sales funnels, which they do have, by the way. They do the whole...
This is such a fucking pathetic cope, dude. It's like, yeah, it's not a failure, dude, because, you know, they're making microtransaction money. Which, you know, you fucking hate microtransactions, apparently. But, you know what I mean. You know, it's not a failure because they're making them shekels off fucking microtransactions. Or it's not a failure because, Ubisoft gave me 10 grand to say this. Like, are you kidding me, man? It's such a fucking pathetic cope, dude. You know you're wrong, so you have to cope.
Metaphorical cake. People were getting up in arms and condemning Ubisoft yet again because the credits for this game are over 2 hours long. Is that a completely absurd length? Yes. Can games be made with a fraction of the resources, rivaling the quality at every turn? Also a resounding yes.
Just to help everybody understand why that's a problem, basically, no game should have 2 hours of credits. The only reason why they have so many credits is because there's so much outsourcing. They outsource so much shit to other companies that they needed 2 hours to, like, list everybody. Dude, like I said, man, coping and fucking seething. Complete seethe and complete cope.
It for what it actually is. It doesn't have to be team sports. It can be, is the game good? But when the new age anti-woke content creator army, because it is kind of a little army at this point, is making this much money with this much support, I find myself dejectedly assuming that common reason is a bit of a lost cause.
Why are you fucking pocket watching, dude? Why do you fucking care how much money people are making off of this shit? Like, are you mad that all your fucking anti-AI videos are going like fucking shit? Which, also, to clarify, I fucking hate political team sports. Political team sports are some of the gayest shit in the entire fucking world, okay? It's so fucking retarded. I don't like political team sports, don't get me wrong. But I think, like, this is just, like, fucking gay. Like, why do you care about how much money other people are making off of their videos, dude? Are you not making very much shekels, my boy? Alright, guys, that's about it. You know, this video was so bad, bro. Holy shit. But yeah, guys, I guess have a good day, afternoon, or night, whatever time you're watching this. I have been Sergeant Rex. Like and subscribe. And remember, stay a gamer. You guys are the fucking best, by the way. Y'all gotta remember that. You guys are fucking awesome.
Wasted away, so far away from the good days. I'm always feeling like everything's wrong. I felt this way for so long. Nothing goes right and I hate my life. Everything's wrong. I felt this way for so long. There used still be brighter days. Save me, I'm drowning, arms reaching up, but you still